Right, just so you know in advance, A, there's a postscript. B, there's a spoiler as well where I name a character that crops up in the middle of the end credits. You might want to hold off watching this review till you've seen the episode. Right, hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, hello, wherever you are, whenever it is. My name is Paul, I'm also called Knick-Knack. I'm the brains behind Knick-Knack's Daily Teaser, which is a set of fun, hopefully enjoyable, definitely intellectually challenging, yeah, sure, daily brain teaser quizzes. I talk about movies when I get the chance. I run Knick-Knack's Old Peculiar, the blog, and I run a YouTube channel at Mr. Cuddy2977. I will hopefully have put most of those up in a little eye in the corner. You've noticed I've talked about movies as and when I get the chance, and I've got a few I'd like to see that I might just talk about over the next few weeks. I also have a habit of talking about TV shows I'm watching. I finished the third season of For All Mankind a couple of weeks ago, and it was thoroughly enjoyable, it has to be said. I've also been watching the third and final series of Star Trek Picard. I saw... Tonight is Saturday the 22nd of April, tomorrow is St. George's Day, and yesterday was the 21st of April, which is when I sat down and watched The Last Generation, episode 10, the final finale episode of the last series of Star Trek Picard. Frankly, I wanted to tell you about it. Episode 10, The Last Generation, opens with the usual summary of earlier episodes, and then, with a dramatic crossfade, shifts to let us listen to a frantic broadcast from Federation President Anton Chekhov himself, warning all and sundry away from the Earth, as the whole of Starfleet is currently in orbit around the planet and has been co-opted by the Borg, with the exception of one last museum-piece ship. That ship is the USS Enterprise 1701D, and its crew: Admiral Picard, Dr. Crusher, Geordi LaForge, Data, Councillor Troy, Captain Riker, and the ever-formidable Worf, Patrick Stewart, Gates McFadden, LeVar Burton, Brent Spiner, Marina Sirtis, Jonathan Frakes, and Michael Dorn, is listening to President Chekhov's message whilst hurtling towards the Earth and the solar system at the fastest possible speed. As Councillor Troy puts it, if space dock falls, there'll be nothing between the assimilated fleet and the Earth. And if Earth falls, as Dr. Crusher points out, so does the Federation. Post-titles, the Enterprise loses the connection to President Chekhov's broadcast, but while scanning for whatever is out there, Data finds signals from a heavily armed Borg cube hiding in Jupiter's Great Red Spot, forcing the ship to head for the Sol system's largest planet at full speed. Once there, Dr. Crusher reports that the cube is broadcasting to what is now a Borg collective of Starfleet vessels, and broadcasting to the whole world with Jack's voice. Severing Jack Edspelier's connection from the collective will end the broadcast and the invasion. Whatever else happens, Admiral Picard knows just one thing: Jack's connection to the Borg has to end. He's the only person to do it, and he, the Admiral, has to finish this tonight. Now, what did I make of The Last Generation and of the series it's a finale to? First things first, I've just realised I've spelled the word two wrong. I've used two O's instead of one there in my script. I'm going to have to correct that in the blog post later. Please feel free to go check it out and see what other typos I've made. But first things first, a lot of episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation were famed for having an interweaved A and B storyline, something The Last Generation doesn't do. Instead, it gives us a a story of two halves, with a climax that sees the destruction of this universe's Bald Queen about 40 minutes into the episode, with the latter 25 minutes of the story showing us the aftermath of that. The episode itself isn't necessarily the best finale or the best episode of the series, but it's beautifully done. It really is, and it's got great moments of both peril and joy and sheer emotions. The poker game at the end of the episode with the old hands from the Enterprise D having one last final game of cards is just beautiful to watch. The shot zooms out of the gang having a lot of fun. There's peril, there's joy, there's genuine emotion, and there's enough gruesomely decaying Borg to keep a horror fan happy for hours. There's another typo there. Never mind, eh? But it's also got a grimly aged Borg Queen who'd been deeply affected by a pathogen that had been introduced to the Borg Cube in the last episode of Star Trek Voyager many moons ago. And the Queen herself, I did name the actress in last week's episode, but the Queen herself is actually voiced by no less a person than Alice Craig, the original Borg Queen herself. The Last Generation is possibly not the best episode, but it is beautifully done. And when it's scenes of the Enterprise G, as captained by 7 of 9, with a first officer of Raffi, Musica, and an ensign as special counsellor, Ensign Jack Crusher, it's 20 hours. Thank you, Katie. It's one that leaves me wondering this. Do we see a spin-off from Star Trek Picard? I think there's potential there. At any rate, it's not something I could tell you for sure. Much as I'd love to see a spin-off with those characters, I do know that this third season has been genuinely quite good. It's been of consistently, for the most part, good quality from start to finish. Granted, episode 7, Dominion, could have been better, but last week's 9th episode, Vox, was bloody superb. This last series was great. About my only complaint is the same one I've had for weeks, is we don't get enough Michelle Hurd. We don't get enough Raffi Musica. She has been the breakout character of all 3 series, and I would love to have seen more of her in season 3. I'm also wondering, this is going to sound daft, but this is just me all over. I'm also wondering if Michelle Hurd is left-handed. The way Raffi's handling a pistol in this episode, she uses it like Brent Spiner, who's another southpaw. She's got it in her left hand. And I'm wondering if she and Brent Spiner are both lefties. Brent Spiner is, I don't know about Michelle Hurd, and daft as it sounds, I'm a lefty. It's important to me. I'd like to know these things. Secondly, my other main possible complaint, is simply that in focusing on the classic Next Generation cast, I don't think it did the newer characters introduced in this series, or the new characters in Star Trek Picard, any particular favours. Yes, Ed Speleers is a standout as Jack Crusher, and what we got of Raffi was beautifully done. You can just see her and Michael Dorn's Wolf as a pair of intergalactic detectives. That would possibly work as another spin-off series, maybe. I don't know. But it's definitely something to look out for, I think there, possibly. Which leads me not to another complaint, but to possibly questions. Will there be spin-offs? I don't know. I honestly don't know. But we have an old set of characters who are gracefully retiring, I think, after one last hurrah. We have a whole wealth of new characters. We have a new Enterprise, an Enterprise G, along with a galaxy of possible enemies dying for a chance to replace the Borg. There's a potential huge amount of shenanigans there. We've also got that unanswered question from season 2. What happened to Agnes Girardi's Queen Borg from season 2? What is her set of Borg collective? What are they guarding? What is that transport conduit? We didn't get that answered in this series. We have another member of the franchise, Star Trek Discovery. Its 5th season, we know, is going to be its last. That, and the fact that John Delancey's Q seems to have turned up as a mid-season, as a mid-credit scene, leaves me thinking we have space for far more stories with that new potential crew. And it's something I, for one, would dearly love to see. Please let me know if you agree with me. Leave me a comment either on the blog post that this is buried in or in the YouTube comments under this video. Now, as one last thought, you'll have noticed I finished watching For All Mankind's 3rd season a couple of weeks ago. With both that and Star Trek Picard done, I have a few in evenings 3. I'm penciling in a few movies, quite possibly. I'm thinking The Mandalorian looks good. I'm thinking there's a few other things I want to look at as well, in between writing teasers and trying to sort out my personal life as well. I don't know what I'm going to be watching next, but I will ask you to do one thing. Please keep an eye on my blog, Knickknacks Old Peculiar, and keep an eye on my YouTube channel as well, because when you see those reviews go live, ding that notification bell and hit subscribe. That'll do it. But if you're subscribed and you've dinged the notification bell, you get to hear what I review first. I will see you the next time I see you. Please take care, have fun, live long and prosper. Don't fall off the potato. Right, I mentioned that there's a message from the Federation President Anton Chekhov, who, as it turns out, is the son of Pavel Chekhov. Both Chekhovs are voiced by the incredible, wonderful Mr. Walter Koenig. It's nice to hear his voice in the series again, it really is.